It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
Hey guys, how is it going? And welcome to the Morning Star Drive on 117.8. It is Tuesday, June 27th, and so happy for you joining us. And we are ready to start another day together with the Lord. So subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on SoundCloud, and make sure to support us on Patreon. So today we have an exciting podcast for you. We have Provi in the media, the practical word study, and of course commentaries, updates, and news on what is happening around the world in this history today. All right, everyone, how are you doing? Yes, it is Tuesday. Monday is already in the books, and yes, that hard day is already done. We're getting into that meat of the week. I hope you guys are having a great week also. If you haven't yet, leave a like or a comment to build our community. Really happy for everyone joining us every weekday on the Morning Star Drive. So let's get up and support each other each and every day. All right, so it is Monday. It's Tuesday. How was your Monday is my question. Anything cool, anything fun happening? I hope you guys enjoyed your time. Yes, Man Cave did come out yesterday afternoon. And some interesting responses to it. But, it's not an easy subject because it's about traditional versus modern woman. And I hope that you guys had fun with that one too. If you have anything you want to say, go ahead, leave it in the comments below. Right now, I am enjoying my time in Vancouver. Right now, it's like the best time to be in Vancouver right now. Sun comes up 5:30 a.m. and it goes down at 9:30 p.m. So can you imagine how long this day is? Which means if the sun goes down at 9:30 p.m., which means we still have like light out past 10 p.m. So it is amazing. Just going out to take a walk, go hiking, play in the sun. Weather is about 23 to 25 degrees, so it's perfect. I'm telling you guys will love it here. You know what? Let me give you some reasons why you can come to Vancouver, okay? Let me give you some reasons why Vancouver is like such a nice place to visit or to live. Besides expense, it's kind of expensive, but amazing place. All right, number one, we have something called the Seawall. It's like in downtown, this huge park. And actually we actually had a province event where, a JCP event way over there in Stanley Park. Stanley Park is the park itself, and then around the park is something called the Seawall. It's like a 10-kilometer, you can bike it, you can walk it, do whatever you want, but it's along the sea. So it's really amazing. It's one of the most famous sites that you can come to here. But what I did last time was the best thing we did is we rented e-bikes. So, it's 10 kilometers is a long trip, but with e-bikes, you get it done within about an hour. And then you go over to, right next to it is Canada Place. You go up to downtown. It's just really, really nice down there. You guys will love it. Seawall is one of the best places. Another thing about Vancouver is we have ski resorts everywhere. So I'm talking about within 3.5 hours, about 3-hour drive. There are, how many? There's Grouse, Seymour, Cypress, Whistler. There's 5 ski resorts. Well, Whistler Backcomb are together, and Whistler is Olympic ski resort, right? That one's the furthest away, but all the other places, you still have another 3 different ski resorts all within 3 hours, like 5 altogether. It's amazing. So wintertime, great time to come here too, but summer I really, really love. Guys, if there's anything that will bring you guys here, it's the food. Oh, the food is so amazing. It is. Like, of course, my mom's food is the best, but this is like Vancouver is well known, especially for Japanese food. We have crazy sushi here. Like, sushi is, it's not expensive, but you get like tons of, like, the portions are big. Sashimi is awesome. You guys will love it here. It's so good here. You guys got to come here. We have like so many salmon farms that salmon is cheap here too. So I know in your countries, salmon is very expensive. Here, it's cheap. It is very, very cheap. Also, we have good Italian food. And, dim sum. We have so many Chinese people here that our dim sum is well known around the world. So dim sum, we have tons of Hong Kong people. So if you want good dim sum, this is a great place to come to. Also, yeah, you guys will love Vancouver. You guys can go boating, Granville Island, hiking, because there's so many mountains and trails in the summertime. So many places to go. If you want to drive down to the U.S., it's 45-minute drive to the U.S. border, which is so close. And then on top of it, the Rocky Mountains is to the east of us, and you can go on these tours anywhere from 3 to 5 days, and you go in the Rocky Mountains. You get to see all the amazing sights on that site too. So the reason I bring this, well, I already have some friends coming up to visit anyways, but there is a reason I bring this up. Why am I talking so lovely about Vancouver? Well, I think it's time for some of you guys to take a little break, like a little vacation. And I'm not saying you have to come to Vancouver, but it's been a rough year. It's been a rough year. Sometimes we just need to decompress, kind of like what Daniel Baker said in his last episode of Until the End. He was in Thailand. Sometimes we just got to take a break. Right? There are many of you out there that may be in more stressful situations than others. And of course, prayer helps. The word helps. But we are physical human beings and we all have our limitations, right? So the reason I brought all this up is we got to go take a vacation sometime. Take a small vacation. You deserve it, right? Everyone deserves it by how far we've made it so far. Just making it this far already, you guys deserve a vacation. I'm dead serious, guys. This is something that's really, really, I think it's very, very important. Don't just think about holding on. Just hold on until the end. Hold on until the end. Hold on till the end doesn't mean suffer until the end. Hold on also means take a break every once in a while. You don't have to endure to the point you're going to break, right? And like I said, yesterday I took some of you guys taking me up on my offer. I said, I can be your punching bag. Just vent on me. That's fine. Sometimes we need it, right? You need the vacation, and even venting doesn't help. Just go out, take a small vacation, take a drive to another resort in your own country. Something, a staycation's okay too. Just got to get away. Got to get away. Turn off your phone. Just enjoy the sunrise, the sunset, whatever it is. Go to the beach. Go somewhere where you can just relax for a bit and recharge, right? Relax and recharge. And I think this is something a lot of us do really need at this time. And I'm going to be super honest with you. The reason I can tell you that I can be your punching bag, because I have nothing serious around me. I just don't. I am relaxed. I'm loving it with my parents. It is just a great time for me. So that's why I'm saying this. I just hope that if you guys are really feeling the stress, just take a break. Take some time off work. Take some time off. Go on the weekend. Yes. And, if you have to, if you can't take that vacation, have that service online, because there's special situations for everything. No one should be burning out, right? No one should be burning out. So that's the only reason I started to kind of advertise Vancouver. I know that some people are really, really far away, but that's fine. But find a place that you could just sit there. Think about it. 5:30 a.m., which means right after pre-dawn, sun is up, and it's going to be up until 9:30 p.m., which means that is 16 hours of sunlight, right? It's awesome, guys. You guys will love it. And if you go to anywhere else that's kind of more further north or further south, you'll be able to get this type of weather too. But either way, I just want to say this. It's take a break, guys. Some of us need it, right? I don't need it. I've taken enough break as I could. But now I am recharged and refreshed. So if you guys ever need, my offer still stands. If you guys need any help, need to talk about anything, go ahead and leave it for me there. All right? Just call me up, whatever it is. There was someone, on my Espresso with Sky channel. There was this interesting question, and this person, I thought, they were, I thought they were kind of anti-Christian, but they're actually more against religion in general, because they said, oh, look at the Bible and the Quran. They're so outdated. All the rules don't make any sense. And I think some of us have gone through this type of arguments, when people come up with these arguments against you. And I wanted to point something out that will help you guys when it comes to people saying things like, oh, look at all these laws in the Bible. They don't apply to us today. So if these laws don't apply, then how can you say that any of the other laws apply? You know what I mean? So there are 613 laws in the Bible. And people will say stuff like, look at this law. It says, don't wear clothes woven with 2 different types of fabric. right? Does that apply today? And obviously we're going to say no, because a lot of the clothes that we wear are not 100% cotton. Sometimes it's 100%, like 95% cotton, 5% polyester. That's two different types, right? It's like, there's like, oh, don't plant two different seeds in your field. We do that today. Don't eat two different kinds of animals. I do it every day, right? Don't eat animals that have fins and scales. Yeah, there's a lot of these laws you look at, you're like, wait, that doesn't apply to today. It doesn't, right? It doesn't apply to today. So then some people make the argument like, look, if these laws don't apply, then how come you're saying these laws apply? Are you just picking and choosing what fits you? And a lot of people do bring that up to us, and sometimes we just don't know what to say, because we're like, oh yeah, it kind of looks like we're just picking and choosing the ones that we think is important, and then throwing away the ones that we think aren't relevant. Okay? And the one thing I do want to tell you guys is, when it comes to people who study the Bible, in order to answer this question, one thing you do need to know is that the laws in the Bible are split into three different types, right? So there are three different types. It's called civil, ceremonial, and moral. And two of them don't even apply today, right? So the only one that still applies is the moral laws that the Bible gives. So let me just give you a breakdown just very, very easily. The differences between the civil, ceremonial, and moral aspects, and when did they stop like existence, okay? So number one is we have civil. Civil law in the Bible, it deals mainly with relationships between individuals, right? Settling disputes and what is the proper behavior, okay? So, if that's what a civil law is, when did it expire? Well, things we need to know is it expired with the demise of the Jewish civil government. So once that happened, those laws no longer applied. It applies only to those people. And people study the Bible know that these are civil laws, disputes between individuals. What is our behavior, right? How do we treat children, rebellious children? What about our cattle, our neighbors? How to treat the poor, when you're in debt, divorce, like all these different things here have to do with civil laws. And this law expired with the demise of the Jewish civil government, okay? The second type of law that we have is called ceremonial law, and that deals with like priesthood, right? Priesthood initiation, priestly procedures as they relate to the sacrifices which people gave in the Old Testament time, like the things they did to cleanse their sins and stuff like that too, right? And when did that expire? Ceremonial law expired with the fulfillment of the priestly work of Christ. Right? So when Jesus came, we no longer needed those priests. Why? Because we accepted Christ, we became children of God, and we no longer needed to come to God through these sacrifices because we can pray directly to God on our own. These are ceremonial, right? So which one is the one that still applies today? And that's the one that we can tell people about is, yeah, those are civil and ceremonial, and we split those three up. But the one that still remains is the moral law. It's based on God's character, right? And it extends from the Old to the New Testament, like principles of character, our morals, our ethics, right? So like in the Old Testament, it's not good to lie. And it's still wrong to lie in the New Testament, right? Murder, same thing. So when you look at moral, there's no expiration because it's based on God's character, which is eternal, right? Be holy, and idolatry, loving God, loving your neighbors as yourself. These are more principles, right? So loving your neighbor as yourself back 2,000 years ago is completely different than loving your neighbor today, because how you love yourself, love your neighbor as yourself. So how you love yourself 2,000 years ago is much different than how we love ourselves today. But the principle itself still stands, right? Don't oppress people, don't steal, don't lie, right? Don't sacrifice your children to, children to other gods. All these are sexual sins, adultery, incest, bestiality, homosexuality. All those other different things have to do with a moral law. And those are the ones that we are saying are the ones that count. Moral ethics, principles of how to be, like what God's character is, right? So that's why when we talk to people and they say that, well, what about this law? It doesn't exist anymore. No, it doesn't. Well, then if you say, who says that this one exists and it doesn't, right? then we'll tell them, well, you got to understand that in the Bible, we all, like people who study the Bible, all understand that there's three different types of laws: civil, ceremonial, and moral. The one that applies today are only moral laws that has to do with God's character and how we have to live today. Civil is disputes between individuals in Israel back then, but once that Jewish civil government expired, then that civil law doesn't exist anymore, right? It had to do with the people at their time. Ceremonial has to do with the priestly work, right, of the temple, taking sacrifices, how to do such things, how to make someone clean again. But that expired when Christ came. Why? Because we no longer have to go through sacrifices, but we come directly to Christ through our own prayers, right? And that had to do with us becoming children of God. The only one that matters today are going to be moral laws like the Ten Commandments. There is no expiration because it is based solely on God's character, right? And we have to become like God. Right, so this is one of the things that I saw, and I was like, this is something that's very, very interesting, and I hope it's something that whenever someone brings that up to you guys, you'll be able to deal with it properly, because it is important that we understand some of these things out there, because people are going to bring up these things, and for me, I just told that person hey, I think it's beneficial for you to study on these things before you kind of comment on it. Right? And I think it would be beneficial for a lot of people to understand the differences between the three, right? And I think it would just it's disingenuous to kind of just say, oh, look at this, it's all wrong. Well, if this is right, then why is this right, or whatever it is, right? So that is something I did when I saw that in my Espresso with Sky channel. I thought it was good that everyone else knew that this is kind of a normal thing, that most people who do study the Bible know that there's three different types of laws in the Old Testament, and only one of them has, that stands the test of time, which is moral laws, right? Which has to do with God's character. And God says we have to be holy like God, right? Be like God. Be perfect, for the Lord your God is perfect, which means we need to find out what God's character is. And from that, we're able to figure out how we should be living also, if that makes more sense, right? So let me know if any of you guys have had that argument come up to you, and I hope this really, really helps you out when you're talking to other people about these different types of things too, okay? All right, so let's get into today's coffee tip of the day, okay? So today's coffee tip has to do with flavor profiles. Okay, so I'm like, what the heck are flavor profiles? So flavor profiles is like the taste that the bean actually gives out. And a lot of people who are not into coffee, they're not going to know that coffee all has different types of flavor profiles, like chocolatey, nutty, fruity, like acidic, basic. There's a bunch of different types of things. Like when we say nutty, some of like chestnut, there's hazelnut, there's like there's almond. There's many different types of nutty flavors, right? So when you go to a coffee shop, one thing that I do look at is the flavor profile of their beans, right? So not only am I looking at the roast, I want a medium to light roast, light or medium, whichever of the two. I also look at the flavor profiles, because for myself, and especially for espresso beans, when you're having lattes and such, like the best type of flavor profiles for those types of beans is more chocolatey and nutty for like lattes and stuff. It's usually much better. And then if you want to have these really nice pour overs and you want to taste like different types of flavors, you like the fruity, right? You like the nutty sometimes, and their fruity is very, very nice too. Floral is good ones too, because you can really, really taste it in those pour overs also. Right? So when you go to a coffee shop, you're going to find out that you're going to have a lot of different flavor profiles, and you're not going to know it just by saying, unless you memorize all of them, which I don't think most people did. But the thing that changes the flavor of each of these coffee beans is going to be like where the actual beans were like harvested, right? And there are a lot of things that play into it. But, there's also like how high, what's the elevation, right? But there's tons of factors like the climate, like, how hot or how hot it is, how humid it is, the soil conditions, and tons of other stuff, elevation, all that stuff makes a difference. And this will make every batch, even from the same place, taste slightly different, right? Even if it comes from the same farm. So there are like generalizations you can make for coffee flavor profiles from different regions. So, if you look at like most of the coffee, like coffee comes in like 4 general regions. The Americas, Americas, you're going to find like in Hawaii or Mexico, down to Guatemala, South America, those areas there. The Caribbean, which is, right in between North and South America. You have African beans, very, very, probably the most popular and the most famous is going to be the African beans. And then you have like India and the Pacific. Right? So, one thing I didn't know before is when I go to Malaysia, there's different types of beans used there compared to what I use in North America. And personally, so far, I kind of like the flavors better in Malaysia or Southeast Asia. I just found them a little bit more tastier. Now, they may not be as expensive as the beans because usually the beans used in certain regions are like the best ones are Arabica beans, like the best of the best. But either way, we'll go into that a little bit later. But let's take a look at basic generalized flavor profiles in each of those regions, right? So you have the Americas. It's kind of very smooth. It's sweet and it's got very bright acidity. Caribbean is balanced. It's smoky. There's wine notes in it, mild acidity, very rich and smooth. In Africa, extremely fragrant. It's floral. It's fruity. Great for these pour-overs and such. Then you have India and the Pacific, very full-bodied, earthy, musty notes, mild acidity, and is very smooth also. So you're going to see that each of those regions do have a different flavor profile, but you don't need to memorize this. Whenever you go to a coffee shop and you ask, hey, what kind of beans you use? And they'll tell you which countries it's from. You say, oh, what's the flavor profile? And they'll be like, oh, it's kind of a little bit nutty. They'll say you'll get kind of a hazelnut and it's a little bit more like this or this, right? And like that's the thing that matters the most. Like where it came from, yeah, it does make a difference. But for most people who are not like super into coffee and such, it's better to just ask what the flavor profile is. And they'll tell you, like I said, generally speaking, in most cases, if you want a good latte, you want the espresso beans to be nutty and chocolatey. Like that type of flavor profile is usually best for that. Either way. So that's just kind of my coffee tips for today. Hope it's something that really helps you guys out also. All right. So let's move on into today's first break of the day.
It's 1,000-year history, right? We belong together, you and I. And you're always gonna hold me tight. Whoa, whoa. You're my groom and I am your bride. And my spirit's lifted up so high. It's the wedding banquet of all time. And you'll hear me sing, bridegroom, 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 I love you, I love you, I love you. And I'll hear you say, beautiful bride, I love you, I love you too, I love you. Count the stars in the sky tonight, let your love lighten up the sky. Countless blessings, how your heart just shines. Ooh, oh, oh, oh. Promise always to be by your side, living with you in my daily life. We're a team that you can't deny. Oh, oh, oh. Bridegroom, 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 I love you, I love you, I love you. And I'll hear you say, beautiful bride, I love you too, I love you. Now let me say, you, my eternal loving bridegroom. Me, can't help clinging onto you. Me and you, my love for you. Bridegroom, bridegroom, how I love you. Bridegroom, bridegroom, how I love you. Bridegroom, bridegroom, how you love me too. It's 1,000-year history ride. We belong together, you and I. It's the greatest history of all time.
All right, so let's get into today's word study. And of course, every single Tuesday, we have the practical word study. And I usually go over about 2 to 3 different points of things that we could put into action with this week's message. And this week's message is a little bit more difficult because it's about thoughts, right? And those are things we have all the time, and it changes. You know, when Susie says our thoughts in the morning and after and the evening are different, I would even say that it's different from the morning to noon to 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. to whatever. Our thoughts are changing all the time. So, you know, one of the things is, the first thing I thought about this week's message is, if thoughts are this important, like one wrong thought can change your destiny, right? Then how important is it to find a way to check your thoughts, right? If our thoughts are that big, thoughts are life. I have a t-shirt that even says that, right? If thoughts are life, if it's that important, if it can change your destiny, then it's that important to find a way to check your thoughts so you're always thinking in the right way, right? So, you know, a lot of us, when we want to check our thoughts, we pray deeply. And that's, of course, something that we should be doing. Pray deeper, figure out what God is trying to say to you, listen to the words more, study the words more, and these also help us. However, one of the hard parts is when you're trying to regulate yourself, and you may not know how off track you really are. It's kind of like, you know, like I said before, is like me watching services online. You know, you kind of sit there and you put yourself into a state where you don't feel like you can't really check yourself because you've kind of agreed to this and you just want to do it because it's comfortable, right? And I do think it's important that we have to figure out another fail-safe. Like, how can we do this better? How can we check ourselves better? Especially when it comes to really important decisions in our life that affects not just us, but other people too. So checking our thoughts is not an easy thing in real time. And I say that's going to be something that we all need to be working on. But I do believe that we should come up with a system to check our thoughts before we do something. Example, for myself, like when it comes to shopping, I don't shop very much. And I shop only when it's absolutely necessary. So I'm very, very different from a girl. I just had to put that in, right? So like sometimes what's going to happen, I'll have an impulse like, oh, I really want this. Like suddenly I want this. But I don't buy it right away, right? And what I actually do is I wait on it. And what the first thing I do is when I see it, I start researching it, right? And what I do is I try to research it, research everything to see if I can, if people can convince me not to buy it. You know what I mean? Like I'll look at all the things that are no good. Like, oh. And then I look at that to see, can I get convinced of not buying it? Because if I get convinced by that, there's no point of me buying it anyways, right? But if I still am convinced that I need to buy it, if it's something that I really want, I actually still wait a couple more days just to see if it's worth it to me. Right? Like, do I really want it that much? Because I know, like, I'm a lot older right now. So when I was younger, a lot of times I want something and impulsively, boom, I get it right away. And of course, I have tons of clothes in my closet I never wear. Right? So, you know, that's why I wait. I give it some time just to see if this is just an impulse. Right? And then if my heart still really wants it, the next hurdle is the biggest one for me is my wallet. It is. Like, it's my wallet is it worth that money? Right? And this is where most things I want to buy fail because it's just not worth it. A lot of things that are impulsive are usually expensive. And I look at it like, and I'll even go to the store. I'll look at the price tag. I'm like, I won't get it. Like there's few things that I will just like easily spend money on. And that's usually food and coffee, right? The rest of it, I got to wait on it a bit. Right? Because, you know, usually food and coffee, the ones I buy, it's not really as expensive as like clothes and stuff like that too. Right? So, you know, even like, it's very, very interesting. And like, if I tell you something that's really weird about me too, is even if I buy new clothes, I usually don't wear it right away. Like I have clothes that I bought in January, 2 t-shirts I bought from the Nike store when my parents came to visit. I've never worn them once. They still have their tags on it because I still have other clothes that I'm still wearing. So I just don't open it. I don't because it's just, why do I need to open those new ones when I have these old ones there? I got brand new shoes like 2 weeks ago, haven't opened them yet. I haven't put them on once. I have a new hoodie, haven't opened it. I have sweatpants, never opened it yet. It's still there in its packaging, still has its tags, everything else on it, because that's just the way I am, right? I'm more conservative when it comes to things like, clothes, I want it to last longer. You know what I mean? So that's something that's kind of like the example I gave you is how I check myself when it comes to buying things that I don't really need. Because I've been through too many experiences when I bought it, like, oh. But this comes to checking our thoughts. And something that might be a lot easier, I talked about this on Monday too, is like even when you look at revelation receivers, I was a revelation receiver before too. I only talk about things that Sunstream has to check, right? It has to be checked to the word. It has to be checked in absolute. And there's always checking systems before a revelation receiver is going to say stuff to other people. And I do believe that one thing I do think everyone can implement, and I think is a very, very good thing, right? When it comes to bigger decisions in your life, you should have not just the prayer and word checking system, right? I think you should actually talk to someone about it, someone you trust, or someone who's an expert in that area. Like those two things I think are like very, very important. And it's kind of like, I'm going to bring it up again, like me not watching my services online. Sometimes you just need to hear yourself what you're actually saying. Because when it's in your own head, it's your own echo chamber. You're trying to, you have this confirmation bias. You want to hear the things you want to hear, and you want to convince yourself that it's okay. But when you say it out loud to someone else, you'll actually hear yourself and you'll realize, oh, like, yeah, these are pretty reasonable thoughts. Or you'll look at yourself and like, that's ridiculous. What am I thinking kind of thing, right? And you'll look at your excuses and your reasoning and you'll be like, whoa, why am I still watching services online? Like I'll talk about my experience, right? And it's sometimes you just got to hear yourself. And even when and even after you say it, it's good to hear what other people are thinking. When you're only thinking to yourself, it's just different, right? And you can convince yourself of anything. So, and also, I'm not telling you that just listen to what other people's advices are. I'm not saying that either. Because not everyone's right every time. If people give wrong or bad advice too. But I think it's important to hear other sides and then making a final decision based on everything you just heard, especially from people that you trust, and listening to your own voice of your own reasons and excuses of why you chose to do something, right? So, it's thoughts are that big. We've learned this so many times. The biggest question we need to ask ourselves is, how do you check your own thoughts? What is the system that you use, or do you just kind of go by how you feel at that moment? Look at yourself like with other decisions you make in life. Like for me, like I said, when it was buying clothes, I'd buy clothes that I'd never wear again. Right? And I'm like, whoa, I can't be doing this. I can't be wasting my money like this. Right? So that's something I do think that all of us have to really think about at a different level. Okay? So that's my first thing that I was thinking about when it comes to the practical word study. The second thing that I was thinking about, which is also quite interesting, is when Sunstream talked about drinking the bitter cup with the man of mission. And that's something that we look at and we say, yeah, we got to do this. We need to drink the bitter cup with the man of mission. This is something very important. We got to bear our cross. We got to do it together with the Lord kind of thing, right? Now, when he talked about drinking the bitter cup with the man of mission, it was just the way God's thoughts are definitely different than ours. And he's like, no. Not everyone should drink that cup because not everyone is ready to handle that bitter cup. I'm like, yeah, it's so true. But all of us who are like, we're zealous, we're on fire. We want to do it together. Oh, we want to do this. Yes, we will live together and we will bear the cross. We'll drink the bitter cup with the Lord. And we're like so into it, like, But the one thing that we never thought about, like when God's thoughts are so different than ours. That's this week's message, right? Sometimes we have the wrong thoughts and it's just that passion that comes in, but it's not reality. Not everyone should drink that cup. right? And one of the examples given was, like, what about slander? No, if it's your mission, they're the ones that are there to handle it. Not everyone is ready to handle it. Not everyone should see all of it. Some people can't handle it, which is okay. And that's the thing you have to think in your head is, if I can't handle it, it's fine. That's why I'm totally cool with people not watching the Netflix. And that's why I made that Netflix documentary summary, so that people can kind of listen to it so they don't have to watch the whole thing, right? Because some people can't handle it. And that's okay. When we think about the things that you want to do in this history, I don't think we've ever thought to ourselves whether we are ready to handle that mission or if it suits us or not. Have we ever thought about that? Because sometimes I don't even think it's about the level. Sometimes it's not about level. Sometimes it's just personal character, the way that we are. Think about myself. I'm a leader in Providence, right? I don't have a mission right now, but I'm a leader in Providence. I have this podcast. I have some influence, right? And I've been in Providence for 25 years. I've seen everything, right? That's why when people are saying, "Oh, what happened here is so crazy. What happened to H?" I was like, no, it happened in 1999 too. Same thing happened, right? Oh, but Sasim said this is not his mission. Yeah, that happened in 2008 too. Yeah, I've heard that already too, right? And even though I'm at a level of leadership, I already recognize myself. Like, I'm self-aware to the point I'm like, no, there's something that I just don't think it fits me as a mission. Like, head leading. I tried it. It didn't really fit me. And maybe I could be different today, but it didn't really fit me. It just doesn't work out for me. I don't have the character that fits it so well. I don't have the patience, right? As much as other people are so good at talking to people and counseling, all these, I don't have that, right? It's a little bit different for me. So, sometimes we have to think to ourselves sometimes it's God saving us. Sometimes God doesn't give us a mission. Sometimes God doesn't give us a title. Sometimes God doesn't give us the things that we actually need because it doesn't really fit us. It's going to make us worse than we really are. Or it'll make us more miserable. And I think that is something that we've never thought about, but we've always complained that, oh God, why this? Oh, how come God you didn't do this? Oh God, how come? Oh God, why didn't you give me this? And that sometimes is something that kind of crushes us in our faith because we're like, oh God, how come they get this blessing and I don't? And sometimes God is like, it doesn't fit you. I don't think you should be taking that bitter cup. But God, I want to take this bitter cup so that I can be no, you're part of this history, but it's not your mission for that. Like, I thought to myself, have I really ever put that into consideration when I was thinking about the things that I really wanted to do for this history, right? And we have to consider to ourselves this is why some things don't happen to us, and it's okay. Sometimes we don't get it, like not being acknowledged, I understand. But like missions and titles and wanting to do this or that, becoming a leader, sometimes not everyone's ready for it. And after I listened to this message, it was kind of more in the front of my mind, like, oh, that's so true. We have to think about what fits us. We have to think about what level we're at. We have to think about, even drinking the bitter cup, these hard, difficult missions. Sometimes it's not the same. And it made a little bit more sense to me listening to this week's message. And I thought that was a very, very powerful point. Some things just don't fit us. Some things we're not at the right level. Some things it's not our mission. Some things it just doesn't fit us, right? And, I think this may sound kind of bad, but I don't think this is bad if we're thinking about what's the best fit for you. I think some people shouldn't be full-time Providence. I think some people are probably going to be better at making money, having a career, supporting the church in a different way, rather than actually just going by your fire and your zeal. Oh, I'm going to run inside Providence, do this, this, and this. I'm going to run full-time for Providence, even if they're gunning for titles and missions or whatever it is. Sometimes I look at that and it's like, yeah, when you think about it, some people should just get married, not just. Some people should get married, get a job, and make the kingdom of God in their family and have like this amazing family that a lot of people can look up to. Like, it's so different when I think about it. I'm like, yeah, sometimes we have to think about it in a much different way. And it's just like what God said. God says all the time, I said this on Monday's podcast, God's thoughts and our thoughts are so different from each other. And a lot of times we just need to step back and say, is this my thought or is this God's thought? You know what I mean? I really, really want this mission. Is that my thought or God's thoughts? Oh, God, why is this so hard? Sometimes it just doesn't fit you. Sometimes it shouldn't be your mission. And we have to think about that very, very deeply and carefully. When we have this, we'll be like, got it. That makes a lot more sense to me now, right? And it's not so much about us saying, oh, you're not good enough. It's more of, it just doesn't fit, and it's fine. Yeah. Like, because I know sometimes people will, like leaders will try to get someone to get into leadership, but that's their own thinking. Oh, I think this person would be good for a leader. Oh, I think this person, oh, let's put this person as the campus department. Oh, this person here. And sometimes it's just their own thoughts. It's not, and I don't blame them, because I was a leader before, and sometimes we have no one to take the position, and we're kind of stuck. Like, oh, who's going to take the, no one's there to do, oh, what do we do, kind of thing, right? So I do think it's something that I thought it was a very perspective shifting thing to hear in the message about titles and missions also. I'm not sure. What do you guys think about this? Like, have you guys ever thought about like some of the things that you really, really struggle with? It just probably wasn't the right thing for you, right? And I think that's a very healthy and normal way to think, and that's something that I think that we can change a lot more too, right? So there it is, guys. That's the word study for today. I hope it's something that you guys really, really enjoyed. I love doing these things just as much, and I hope you guys enjoy it that much too. All right? So we have a break, and then we'll have Provi in the media. Okay, so let's get into our final segment for today. And of course, every single Tuesday we have Provi in the media, and I'll keep you up to date with the different things that are going on when it comes to the trials and different things going on in Providence, especially with these types of matters. Like I said before, there's not a lot of different extra news coming out at the moment. The latest one just came out about, by the time you guys hear this, it'll be about 5-6 hours ago. And it has to do with the Netflix audio file. So the latest news that came out is not that there's a decision in the courts, but there seems to be some controversy with this Netflix audio file. So CGM already came out, they got the test results of that Netflix audio file, right? And basically the test results came out that the recording by the alleged victim was manipulated. So that's the test result. It was manipulated. But where does the controversy come in? The controversy comes in is that the company that did the forensics are already known to take the position that Sunstein is guilty, which is quite interesting that they would even bring that up. You'd assume that something when it comes to these types of things, they would, even if they agreed in a certain matter, that they wouldn't say it publicly. But it is known that this forensics company that did this audio file, that tested the audio file, they're already known to be taking the position that Sunstein is guilty. And that's where the controversy actually comes in. And it's weird for the company because the company actually says that, this does not prove that Sunstein is innocent. Which is very, very interesting. And that's why it is a controversy that they would step in and say such a thing like this. And the reason why this is such a big thing is because you need to remember that the only real evidence for this case is that audio. That's the realest evidence you can get. This is it. It actually happened. Let me show you the audio file. So when we talk about actual evidence that someone did something, besides agreeing, just trusting in hearsay, actual evidence includes audio, video, pictures, and DNA. Those are the four major things that can prove something there. Oh, we have a picture. This is them together here. Or we have a picture that they're actually in the act of doing something. Oh, here's the audio, this audio that came from Netflix, right? Here's a video of it. Or there is DNA. One of the things that makes it... one of the latest things not latest, but one of the things that came up before from other news outlets that are kind of thinking that the trials are a little bit funny is that, when they talk about the Hong Kong, when they're in the mosquito tent and stuff like that too, of course, that's all been debunked now. So if you guys haven't seen that yet, that's, there's the reasons for all these things happening. It was all there, right? And the thing that they said that was so interesting, all these people saying that the weird thing about this recording is they were there for days. They were seeing and looking, and the only testimony they have is, and then we saw the sexual stuff going on, but we forgot our cameras that day. We're like, what? People are like, your sole purpose there was to catch video evidence, and all you have is that mosquito net thing, which doesn't prove anything. Do you know what I mean? So when I looked at that, I was, and it's they need the smoking gun. Right now, actual evidence only has audio, video, pictures, DNA. Those are the four main evidence, right? And this audio is supposed to be the smoking gun for the prosecution. So that's why it's quite interesting that, they're like, hey, it's been manipulated, but we still think he's guilty. There's no way that this means that he's innocent all of a sudden. It's kind of a weird thing to say, and that's why there's controversy in that. But it's going to be interesting to see what the next step the courts are going to do, right? So the news article is not about what happened in court. The news article is about the actual audio itself and that CGM has tested it and they found it to be manipulated, right? So this article is only talking about that point, but it's not talking about exactly what is happening in court. And that's something that we have to understand very well. It's not about the court decision, right? Court decision, I think they're probably going to come up with it pretty soon. Now that they have the final test results come out, it looks like they obviously did it through a Korean forensics agency, and I'm really looking forward to... they also talk about Taiwan's forensics too, but I'm looking forward to the one that's from Musin. MUSCENE. That's the one that they used in courts all over America and such. I would like to see the detailed, exactly what is manipulated. I want to see that. I don't want to just hear it's manipulated. I want to hear this is manipulated. This is not his real voice, or this is his real voice taken from something else. Like, I want to hear everything. That's to the extent I would like to know, just to know that someone or these people who are accusing Sunstein are using manipulated, like, at that point for myself, if I was a jury, how could you trust their testimony if their biggest evidence is fake? Like, for me, it's like, that doesn't make any sense. Of course, there's no jury yet, right? But that's something that I'm going to be keeping my eyes open and my ears peeled to, is what are they going to do in the court with this situation now that they, once they show it in court and all the test results are showing that it's manipulated. I would love to see what the next step is going to be. Yeah. Like, how trustworthy are they now? That's a big question. Like, for myself personally, how can I trust anything they say if their biggest evidence is manipulated, if it's fake? They faked it themselves. And that is something that's like, how could you even go even further in that situation? So, like I said, there's not a lot of news in the moment. Like, one thing I might have missed out is in the last trial for the with KJS and the 6 women who are being accused of aiding and abetting. I believe the last trial on the 21st, Kyla was not there because she was sick or something along that line. So a lot of the news people thought that was weird that you have a witness that's not there. But, some key moments are going to be coming up in both trials. So I really, really hope and pray that all of us will be vigilant in our prayers for the trial. Make sure you pray for Sunstein to be strong. Pray for the prosecution. Pray for the judges. Pray for everything to come out. So, like as the message said, in the end, if people don't repent, everything is revealed. Everything comes out, right? And this week, starting on Wednesday, we do have another 21-day prayer condition starting. So let's do this together. And this, it seems like it's a very, very important 3 weeks we have left. Most likely, I'm not saying this is true, but most likely maybe there's going to be a verdict that comes out pretty soon too. So I hope that all of us can pray together for this trial. Okay? So there it is, guys. That is today's Provi in the media. Like I said, there's not a lot of news coming out, but thank God that something came out within the last couple of hours. But I hope it's something that helps you guys out to pray a little bit better. All right? I hope you guys have an amazing and awesome Tuesday. Just enjoy your time. Enjoy your work, your school, whatever it is. Enjoy it. This day, we're never going to get back again. And, take that vacation if you need it. Call me if you need a punching bag. I'm always here for you guys too. All right? So there it is, guys. Have a wonderful Tuesday, and we'll see you guys again tomorrow on the Morning Star Drive on 117.8.
It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm like this. I got my head in the zone, I'm on the Morning Star Drive, I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me when I'm like this. I got my head in the zone, I'm on the Morning Star Drive,